So I just got a text message from a physician recruiter. I'm going to read it to y'all. Still needing EM locums coverage in Eastern North Carolina. Can you possibly help? Volumes around 32,000, 12-hour shifts. We are paying. What's up, everybody? My name is Cody. I am an ER doctor. Welcome back to my channel. So I just read out a text message that I get quite frequently from these physician recruiters, and it's through something called locums tenens. So in this video, I am going to explain what exactly locums is, some of the pros and cons of doing locums, and I'm going to break down some of the pay that they offer you to come work in their hospital. So first off, what is locums? So locums is essentially travel nursing, but for doctors. Essentially what happens is there is a nationwide shortage of doctors, especially in rural areas. There are quite a few companies out there who hire physician recruiters in order to try to bring doctors to some of these areas in which physicians are needed. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not always in a rural area. For example, I have seen plenty of job offers in Hawaii, in the Caribbeans, in cities like Chicago, Miami, all the major cities. There's always going to be a need for doctors. However, depending on the region or the area that you work, there's going to be a bit of a pay discrepancy, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. Now, usually what these companies will do, especially to get you to some of the more rural areas, is just give you a bunch of incentives. That includes higher pay, some benefits, you name it. Now, locums is not for every specialty. I am an emergency medicine doctor, so I'm always receiving messages about, hey, would you like to come work in our hospital? I know a few of my anesthesiology colleagues also get some hospitalists as well, some surgical specialties. Usually you'll be able to find some type of gig outside of your full-time job in which they are wanting you to come and provide care. So let's briefly kind of talk a little bit about the pros and cons of locums. So one pro is the compensation. Now I will touch a little bit more on specifics as far as how much some of these jobs are offering, but in addition to the hourly rate that they're offering you, oftentimes they will pay for your travel, your lodging, your meals. This can be very great because you are not having to foot the bill of some of the costs that it would take you in order to get to wherever it is that you are working. Now let's jump to the con side. Unfortunately, it is not just as easy as snapping your fingers and saying, hey, I want to work at this hospital, schedule me for some shifts. First of all, if you are going to want to work in a place that is outside of the state that you are currently working in, then you will need to obtain a license for that state. Now, on the flip side, there are some states that do dual licenses, so you can apply for multiple states under one licensing fee. But obtaining a license can be pretty expensive. Usually the time for this can take anywhere from 4 to 12 weeks, so it can be pretty lengthy. Now, after you get your license in that state, then you can start the credentialing process at that particular hospital. This is going to add even more time to it. Usually it can take anywhere from 2 weeks all the way up to 90 days, depending on the circumstances. So if you're trying to plan out, working at a specific spot, you're looking at least a few months of you just kind of sitting and waiting for you to get your license, credentialing, the whole nine. But let's talk about another pro. So if you are someone who likes to travel like me, wouldn't it be a great opportunity for you to, let's say, get a license in Florida, go down to one of the beach towns there, bring your family if you have a family, maybe go down there for 2 weeks. Usually in that time you commit to X amount of shifts. So I may say, hey, I'll come down to XYZ in Florida, work 5 shifts, but I want my shifts kind of scheduled. Let's say you do 3 shifts in the first week and then 2 shifts in the second week. Meanwhile, they are comping your travel expenses, your hotel. So basically, that entire time that you are not working, you can just go out and travel, explore, go to the beach, do whatever you want. On the flip side, going back to the cons, if you are someone who is just like a homebody or has a family and doesn't want to travel so much, then maybe this is not something that you should get into. I actually know people on both sides of the spectrum, people who are solely doing locums work, traveling half the month, second half of the month they're completely off, and this works for them. Me, I have a family. That's not something that I would be doing necessarily, but I am getting credentialed at hospitals around the region just to go and work a couple extra shifts. Now, it's probably going to be too in-depth in terms of what we're covering in this video, but as a locum tenens doctor, you can essentially make your own business, especially if you are filing 1099. I am a 1099 doc and I have a full-time job, and I have created my own business. We'll talk about that on another video, but it is just something to consider. But now, the moment you have all been waiting for, let's talk about some of this pay. So this pay is specifically going to be for emergency medicine. Now, obviously, depending on what specialty you are in or going into, the pay is going to differ. So the job that I was mentioning earlier in Eastern Carolina, they are offering $334 per hour. And these are 12-hour shifts. So if you work one shift there, that equals to around $4,000. Typically, locums, they will offer you around $300 to $350 most of the time. Now, you're going to get some lowball offers out there. You're going to get some that's a little bit less, and you're going to get some that's a little bit more, just to kind of depending on where you're going. But let's say you make that $4,000 in that one shift. Let's say you work, the full time is 120 hours per month. So let's say you work 10 shifts. It's $40,000 a month working 10 shifts doing locums work. And not to mention, they are covering all of your expenses. And just to make sure you know there's no cap in my rap, here is a picture, hope you can see that, of them sending me multiple times offering $334 an hour. Now, I've been getting, some for as low as $175. The highest I've gotten offered was around $350 per hour. Usually they range anywhere from $275 to around $325. So for me, for my full-time gig, I won't tell you how much I make specifically, but making $4,000 per shift is definitely on the higher end. And so if you think about, going somewhere, you can work as little as 1 to 2 shifts a month. That's an extra $4,000 to $8,000. I'm just saying. So I just wanted really to come on here and talk a little bit about finance, other job opportunities outside of just kind of being confined to one space, because I know it is super important, especially if you're somebody who is just kind of curious, maybe about some potential things that you could be doing in your career. So yeah. I hope this video helped. I will be posting more and more content. As I mentioned, if you want me to talk a little bit more about the business side of medicine and forming your own LLC and filing under S Corp status, drop it down below in the comments. We can do a couple videos on that. But yeah, that's it for this video. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it if you haven't done so already. Also, give this video a like, and see you on the next video.